Our societies are increasingly materialistic, and they're increasingly addicted to the accumulation of wealth. This is what capitalism and neoliberalism has created. This is why I endorse the philosophy of libertarianism, capping wealth at a certain amount beyond which there can be no further wealth attained for anyone. Beyond a certain point, adding more wealth does not yield any further happiness, nor does it lead to any further satisfaction, so it is completely futile and gratuitous to do so, considering its social effects as well, that it creates inequality and pushes people into poverty. First, I want to focus on the social effects that are created by extreme wealth. The wealth divide has solidified class consciousness and increased tension in society. Polarization has also meant that classes are less intertwined and interlinked because they're less linked by religion. Militarization and the end of warfare amidst the peace dividend means that they are less linked by warfare. That was where social classes used to intermingle before. Rather than uniting against a common enemy, social classes are now fighting against themselves in a new era of class struggle and class warfare. This is now largely psychological rather than physical. Each social class is insulated to the realities of another social class, which is creating further division. The upper classes don't know what it's like to live in the lower classes, and the same is true the other way. This is creating exactly the tensions that Marx predicted: alienation across society. Upper classes underestimate their privilege, whilst lower classes overestimate their destitution. This distorted class consciousness widens inequality further and reduces the extent that societies are cohesive. Rich people are also socially burdened by extreme wealth because of the obligation of philanthropy that comes with it, and the moral consequences created from perhaps not giving enough or feeling that they haven't contributed enough can also create social consequences that are damaging for them. The rumbles of social instability also create an unwelcome upheaval in the lives of richer people. The author of Flow, a prominent psychologist whose name I can't really say, suggested that poorer people gain greater satisfaction from accumulating more wealth than richer people, as richer people have lives revolving around material gain, whilst poorer people can enjoy more simple pleasures when attaining wealth. This is why attaining further wealth is not really justified, nor is it necessary. This competitive culture and constant chase of further wealth, materialism, consumerism, this creation of capitalism has created envy across society, not the politics of envy as suggested by richer people, but envy that has no purpose. This constant chase for more, this constant competition to get more money than the other person, more money than that other person, creates a society where we have dissatisfied people across society. Some who are dissatisfied by having too much wealth, and some who are dissatisfied by having too little. This is a consequence that is created by capitalism, consumerism, materialism, and this is a trend that we need to stop and that we need to reverse. It is also a moral duty for us to tackle the effects of extreme wealth on the children of rich people. The children of rich people often have issues with attachment, patience and delayed gratification, and also low self-esteem due to the parental support they have and the innate privilege that they possess. Also, the mental health effects of wealth accumulation are profound. It is almost an addiction in itself, like gambling or alcoholism. People are addicted to the chase and accumulation of wealth. This is a trend that we need to stop, because if people are continually chasing wealth and attaining wealth and increasing their wealth without any purpose, and this wealth becomes dormant and goes to waste, then our economy will be less productive and the social outcomes that we want will never be achieved. It's time to stop a society where material gain supersedes social welfare. We need a program of national military or civic service to reduce the social barriers that are present across society, the class divisions that are continuing to grow. This will help to also address the needs crisis and support our young people to create a more cohesive and collective society rather than continuing with the failed ideology of individualism. We need workplace democracy and worker ownership to reduce economic power imbalances and give workers a stake in society. This will surely help to reduce alienation across society. But finally, we need a hard cap on extreme wealth so that no one is disadvantaged because some richer man, out of his envy and out of his mental deprivation, out of his addiction, wants to attain more wealth and deprive it from those who really need it. If we truly want to thwart society's moral and economic decay, libertarianism is essential. A cap on extreme wealth is essential so that we can have a fairer and more equal society, but also so that we can address the socio-economic effects that extreme wealth creates, which are largely very, very damaging. The presence of philanthropy and altruism doesn't disprove libertarianism. It in fact reinforces it, because philanthropy cannot tackle structural issues, and it is highly dependent on what the rich person believes is the right priority. This is anti-democratic. Democracy, government, should decide what the priorities are. It should decide how resources are allocated, not rich people at their own whims and their desires. There's another argument that the cap on wealth would create an economic disincentive. This is the whole point of the cap. We want to disincentivize wealth accumulation beyond that point. So why would that be a bad disincentive? Not all disincentives are bad. The disincentive to smoke is a good disincentive, and this is similarly virtuous. Then to say that the presence of extreme wealth itself is justified is highly disingenuous. Most of success is largely determined by what John Rawls called the natural lottery. Where you were born, who your parents were, what school you went to. All of this is not controlled by you. Your upbringing and your childhood is not controlled by you. The support you have access to determines a lot of your success, your education, your support network, the people you know. This is not dismissing the value of hard work, because with hard work, anyone can rise up to the top. But some people have more barriers to rising up than others. And that is a crucial point to consider. Also, a lot of the extreme wealth that we have now is inherited wealth, and a lot of it is derived from immoral sources of income, like dark money or profit shifting or Nazi money. It could be any of those things that make that wealth tainted and immoral. Another method of attaining extreme wealth, giving yourself as a CEO of a company large bonuses whilst underpaying your workers and extorting excess value from them, is also not a moral way to attain wealth, which means that it is inherently unjustified. If, for example, you rewarded your workers in the same proportion as you, or a similar proportion as you, would you really have that same amount of wealth that you have now? It is not likely that you would. Many business startups are reliant on innovations that were powered by the state, as described by Mariana Mazzucato. Innovations like the internet were a product of state intervention. So this proves that whatever success you have, it is not just you who has a stake in it. It is also society. It is also government. And it is also the institutions that made you successful, the people that made you successful. Once you have attained that wealth, holding it is also unjustified. Hoarding it is also unjustified. As a wealthier person, you're more likely to save your wealth than to spend it, damaging the economy and levels of consumption. As a wealthier person, you're more likely to put your wealth into assets, inflating asset prices and reducing access for poorer people. This reduces social mobility as well. Meanwhile, workers are being underpaid and government is being drained by universal credit and other welfare payments to support them. It is evident that most wage differentials are unjustified. Care workers and childcare practitioners often have more onerous responsibilities than company executives, yet they're paid far, far less. The value that they generate is far greater to society than the executive of the company. So how can this be a justified wage differential? This is an example of systemic exploitation and disproportionate value allocation. Working people and those at the bedrock of our society, those who are holding it together, are being exploited. And that surplus value is going into the pockets of executives. It is going into the pockets of people who are leeching at our society. Fair distribution and a society where some people have a little less, whilst others have enough, a libertarian society, is something that we can achieve. Do not be fooled by the media who trap you into the neoliberal paradigm of thinking, who trap you to believe that nothing else is an alternative, that there is no alternative available to the system that we have currently. It is imperative for all of us to fight back against these deeply embedded narratives and reclaim our society. True justice is within reach, not the distorted justice that we have today.